Donald Trump. Even the name sounds larger than life. Before he was President Trump, he was the guy from The Apprentice, you know, the one with the hair and the catchphrase, "You're fired." He was a businessman, a real estate mogul, a New York City icon. But politics? That was a whole different ballgame. No one, and I mean no one, saw this coming. He had zero experience in government. He'd never served in the military. His entire career had been built on boardrooms and business deals, not on diplomacy and legislation. Yet here he was, throwing his hat in the ring for the most powerful job in the world. People scoffed. They laughed. They called it a publicity stunt. Little did they know, Trump was about to rewrite the rules of the game. He was about to show America and the world that politics would never be the same. Trump's campaign was unconventional, to say the least. Forget the carefully crafted speeches and the polished sound bites. Trump spoke his mind. Consequences be damned. He didn't shy away from controversy, he embraced it. He tapped into a vein of anger and frustration that many Americans were feeling. He promised to make America great again, a slogan that resonated with people who felt left behind by globalization and economic change. His rallies were legendary, filled with fervent supporters who hung on his every word. He connected with them on an emotional level, bypassing the traditional media and speaking directly to the people. Pundits and political analysts were baffled. This wasn't how campaigns were supposed to be run. But Trump wasn't playing by their rules. He was playing by his own. Trump's presidency was as unconventional as his campaign. He governed by Twitter, firing off pronouncements and attacking his opponents with abandon. He seemed to thrive on chaos, constantly picking fights with the media, the Democrats, and even members of his own party. He saw himself as the ultimate deal-maker, someone who could cut through the red tape and get things done. He wasn't afraid to shake things up, to challenge the status quo, even if it meant ruffling some feathers along the way. He valued loyalty above all else, surrounding himself with people who were fiercely devoted to him. This created a climate of fear and uncertainty, as those who dared to disagree with the president often found themselves on the outs. Love him or hate him, one thing was for sure, Donald Trump was a force to be reckoned with. He was a disruptor, a showman, and a master of self-promotion. He turned American politics on its head, leaving a legacy that will be debated for decades to come. Section 4. Policy Earthquakes and Aftershocks. Trump's presidency was marked by a series of bold and often controversial policy moves. He slashed taxes, particularly for corporations and wealthy individuals, arguing that it would stimulate economic growth. He rolled back environmental regulations, championing the interests of the fossil fuel industry. He appointed 2 conservative justices to the Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, shifting the balance of the court for a generation. This had a profound impact on American law, particularly on issues like abortion and gun control. His signature policy achievement was arguably the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which lowered taxes for businesses and individuals across the board. He also made good on his promise to renegotiate trade deals, withdrawing from the Trans-Pacific Partnership and imposing tariffs on goods from China. These policies were met with mixed reactions, with supporters praising their economic impact and detractors criticizing their impact on inequality and the environment. Impeachment storms and the Capitol siege. Trump's presidency was marked by political turmoil. He was impeached twice by the House of Representatives. On January 6, 2021, a mob stormed the U.S. Capitol. The Capitol riot was a dark day for American democracy. Trump was impeached for incitement of insurrection. He was acquitted by the Senate, but remains a divisive figure. Section 6. The Trump Legacy, A Nation Divided. Donald Trump's presidency was a roller coaster ride of controversy, chaos, and unpredictability. He shattered political norms, challenged the media, and divided the nation like no president before him. His supporters saw him as a straight-talking outsider who wasn't afraid to speak his mind and fight for what he believed in. They applauded his economic policies, his tough stance on immigration, and his willingness to stand up to America's adversaries. His detractors viewed him as a demagogue, a bully, and a threat to American democracy. They condemned his rhetoric, his policies, and his behavior, arguing that he eroded democratic norms and emboldened extremist groups. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Donald Trump left an indelible mark on American history. His presidency was a watershed moment, a time of great upheaval and change. Only time will tell what the long-term consequences of his presidency will be, but one thing is for sure: the United States will never be the same.